G'day guys, I am the Thorough Tank and I'm here with a first video in a new series that I'm coming up with called the Quick Tips series. Now this is going to be little short videos. They're not going to cover an entire dungeon or be 10 minutes long. They're just going to cover one specific thing that's really useful for tanks to know in Mythic Plus. Today we're covering how to reverse the polarity on Hyrja. Now you may have heard of this trick before. It works pretty simply and it's not really that hard to do. Now, for those who don't know the trick, it's pretty simple. The idea is you cause Hyrja to cast Eye of the Storm while she's buffed with Holy damage, and you cause her to cast Sanctify when she's buffed with Lightning damage. Now, if you've spent any amount of time working on Hyrja, particularly if it's been tyrannical keys or very, very high keys, you've probably noticed that the fight has a lot of randomness in it. Depending on who gets targeted with her abilities, if someone gets targeted by the same two abilities or somebody gets targeted for an arcing bolt coming out of the Eye of the Storm, it's pretty easy to just lose someone and there's not much you could have done about it. So you can either burn battle reses or you can try this little trick. There's a couple of pros and cons to the trick. The big pro is that she spends less time with both buffs. The downside is that she spends more time with higher stacks of an individual buff. So when she's got high stacks of both buffs, she can cast very damaging abilities of both types. When she's got high stacks of only one buff, she can only cast one ability. So the abilities will hurt more, but you do remove the incidence of the combos, which is good. The second benefit to it is that you reduce the damage of Eye of the Storm, because when she's casting it, instead of having 7 or 8 stacks of the nature damage, she has none. When the ability starts, she has no stacks. The ability barely tickles at all. The healer's passive healing can get you through it. That means everyone comes out of the Eye of the Storm with full health and there's no problems. So I've quickly jumped into a pug Hyrja to show you how it works. Now, after killing Hyrja's trash, you're going to want to position yourself very precisely, as you can see in this picture. The positioning is important, and I'll get to why in a minute, but just for now, have a look at where I'm standing in relation to the patterns on the ground. Make sure you position yourself right on this edge. It's pretty simple, you can see it here. We start on the Holy side, after a few seconds we jump over to the Lightning side, and that makes the trick work. As always though, the difficulty is in the timing. The position we talked about is important to what makes the trick work, because it puts her as close as possible to the Lightning side without actually getting the beam buff. That means when it's time to go over the other side, you're getting rid of the Holy beam as quickly as possible. Now this is the tricky part. Watch closely, we're watching for the first Expel Light cast. There it is. You're looking for the moment where her hand shoots forward in the animation and the debuff circle appears. That's when you leap across to the other side of the room. Now, if you've done the timing right, she will follow you over to the other side, lose the Holy buff, and start gaining Lightning stacks. However, she will still have enough Holy stacks to begin casting Sanctify instead of Eye of the Storm. Final piece of the puzzle to make sure the trick continues to work throughout the boss fight is to make sure that you stay on each side long enough to get enough stacks so that they cast the correct ability as they get over to each side. The way you do this is just to wait for the Shield of Light ability to knock you over there. It's not really that hard, but if you weren't doing it already, now's a good time to start. Now, class choice. In order to make the timing work as I've outlined it in this video, you're going to need an ability that moves you instantly to the other side of the room. So that's Heroic Leap for Prot Warriors, Infernal Strike for Vengeance Demon Hunters, Transcendence for Brewmasters, or Wild Charge Travel Form for Guardian Druids. Now, I'm not 100% certain how this trick will work with a Blood Death Knight or a Prot Paladin. You probably can do it, but the timing will be different. You're not going to be able to use the Expel Light cast animation as your guide. You may want to try working something out with a member of your group. If you've got a Windwalker monk, they could provoke the boss with their taunt and use their Transcendence to get over there. If you've got a priest, they could life grip you over. There are ways to work around it. I suggest grabbing an empty instance, getting in there and trying it out for yourself. Hopefully this video though gives you a good guide and a starting point for how to do it, and I wish you all the very best of luck in making this work for your runs. Thanks very much and see you next time.